like got the main contact, and all they do is just go talk to the teachers, and like that's our quickest form of communication. And
it was just after school, wasn't it?
Yeah, and usually
just
you do
like kind of a 3:15, 3:30.
Yeah, and usually that's the easiest kind of time slot to slot in as well. Because usually, in terms of logistics here, it's quieter after school. Peak periods. And the teachers seem to be normally around school.
I should probably know this. When were the teachers' sessions done? Like first, second week, and then at the end, or in the middle?
It was a bit. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 or 3 weeks.
If that was brought forward to the first week, would that give you guys like a better understanding of dynamics of the children to help target better or anything like that?
Maybe, yeah. I think, what was the reasoning around having it? And to be able to give a bit of feedback on working with the families, and so we have something to offer them as well, I guess.
Interesting.
You know, in terms of like approaches or, you know, but yeah, I can see it being beneficial both ways. Yeah, I think we were just modelling it off the got it timeline.
Oh, yeah.
And it may be less helpful if they're not seeing the behaviour at school. It might be less helpful the first week if they're not seeing it, because then we kind of feel like we haven't started it, and then they're not seeing anything.
I was just going off your story, how
but
between the
in that
kids.
first one, that would have been helpful. It's hard to know until it's.
And the person, sorry, did you have something else?
Yeah, there was one particular school, I don't think we got in the second teacher session because, what was the reason? It was for Jindara, and the teachers...
They didn't turn up one week, and then
it was
the
a
next
concert week.
Yeah. But they want to do it next term, don't they?
Apparently, yeah. That's what they kind of reached out and said.
So you missed one of the interactions times with the teacher, that's due to not showing up once, some kind of
I think I forgot.
Understanding.
So the main contact was away.
Sick.
Yeah, and then they either, I think the teachers were there for it, but there was nobody to set up the session because the main contact was away. And then that failed for the week that it was planned. And then the next week was, we rescheduled for that next week, and then I think it was a concert week, and then she let us know that the teachers were busy in week 10, so there was like a 3-week period where we couldn't.
I'm not so,
couldn't essentially get this session in.
That's really useful. Yeah. And the main contact at the school, are they universally helpful? How do you find out about them? How do you peg who it's going to be? If it's a brand new school, say, if you already are working with the school and other programs, I suppose you know who that is. But
usually coming down from whoever research spoke to at the school was then my main contact, and then usually that's the principal. And then if the principal didn't have the time to facilitate it themselves, they just passed me on to someone else.
And who is that? Somebody else, like a TA, learning and support, or unlikely to be those people?
More often than not, it was the principal themselves who then either delegated within, like I just gave them all the information, they delegated down, or they passed me on to an LST, so learning and support teacher, or was Helen the classroom teacher?
She was learning and support, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So they support AP
as well. Yeah.
Principal. Yeah.
Other than that, they're probably the 3 main, so APP and LST.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they seem quite key, I saw, but when they're missing, the whole thing kind of. That's pretty typical. You know that, I'm sure, for many things. We're going through a lot of these actually, so I only really have one left one that we didn't really talk about, but then we can go back in the sort of 15 minutes we have left. So if this whole program was to scale up and go, say, statewide, whether it's Royal Far West doing it or not, obviously, what would, say, New South Wales Health or whoever might run it, Royal Far West, whatever, have to think about, do you think, from your perspective of roles? You don't have to imagine what other, funding and all that kind of stuff, but from a clinician perspective or from a logistics perspective,
logistic wise, I think lead times.
Lead times, yeah.
Definitely with schools, and when information is given to the schools, and like suitable timeframes to have things returned.
Yeah, that process is a bit rushed at the moment, isn't it?
So do you think almost like you might do intake one term and then have almost like a whole term just to gather ones, and then the next term, because right now what we're doing is like one term, then the next term is delivery. So sort of having a one term in between, so you're gathering data maybe over 2 and you deliver in a third. Is that the kind of time frame that would be useful? Or
yeah, I think it doesn't have to be over the 2 terms. Like whether the lead up work, so the SDQ and the identification of who the families are done like towards like the last 2 or 3 weeks of one term. Actually, yeah, that does span over the 2 terms then, doesn't it? In my opinion, a shift in like 2 weeks earlier from when it gets to my point would be...
So just 2 additional weeks.
Yeah, it would be a lot helpful. Because I've been like tending to get all the information around like the week 7, week 8 kind of mark. And then like it starts that process, and it's not always easy to get onto the school.
So we need to start at the start of the term then, because it takes 3-4 weeks to get in contact with everyone to try and get them to agree, because they don't answer. So, yeah, I think we'll probably start out at week 5, and then you're getting it 3-4 weeks later when we've gone through everyone 3 times, trying to get them to consent, and then...
Yeah, so I feel like the setup phase could be halfway through the term.
Yeah.
So allow, like, worst case scenario, 2 weeks to set up the technology, and then that still allows 3 weeks to fit in
Interviews.
Which then it's like, it's not you're not fitting 10 interviews for one school within a week, and vice versa with the like clinicians on our end.
Yeah.
I also wonder about, and we've spoken about this just very briefly, but feasibility of trying a more like a fly-in, fly-out model of delivering the program intensively. Face to face. I just feel like with these families in these areas in particular, it's just so much easier to connect if you've got them in the room.
and what about a hybrid?
Yeah,
Is it really like the scales, like face-to-face really is top, a hybrid is kind of here, and the full telehealth is kind of here? Do you think of it that way? Like, you know, if you flew in and you had week 1 together even, or 2 weeks, and then the 8 or 6 remaining, whatever, would be on telehealth.
Yeah.
Or even if it was like an intensive week,
Like we do
and
here.
then you do like telehealth booster session follow-ups or something of that nature. Or even if your clinical interviews are by telehealth, fly in, do an intensive week, and then you do your boosters for your implementation over a couple, just in terms of like time and resources and all the rest. It would probably cost the same
that
anyway.
actually makes more sense. 10 weeks.
And you could do the teacher sessions. Like you could kind of do it
observe
all.
the child,
You could do
you
some of
could-
the partner stuff.
Yeah.
You could. Yeah.
I guess the challenge is that, government and organizations know that they just can't get people who would even be willing to do just that. Like getting people on the ground is ideal. They can't manage to, at the scale that would be required to make it equitable. Yeah, but it's interesting to hear, like, as a clinician, that you feel like that is just it still rides as really important. And from that, like, would you think, okay, could you think, no, in the future maybe you would grab all these SDQs, maybe even do parent and teacher initial screening, or and then sort of go, no, we've got a severe set of kids, we're going to do an intensive week with a subset, and then the rest will get telehealth kind of scenario? Or do you think that would be... I mean, in the way, that's in the end, that's kind of the Rural Far West model almost, isn't it? It's like the very severe kids actually come here for the intensive week. So, I mean, maybe that's what would be suggested. Maybe an organization that, say, that took on TAG full on for decades would say, no, take the really severe, complex cases and send them to Rural Far West in person for a week or something, and the rest.
It depends what they think makes TAG. Like, is it the whole parent, seeing the parent-child stuff, or